Hello guys, welcome to the 100th episode of Sports Game Reviews, and for today we're going to do something for the very first time, a versus video. Now through the Retro Sports Gamer Discord page and through a few videos I've asked you guys, gave you guys some suggestions and wanted to hear what you guys thought. But one was brought to me that I wasn't aware of. Tecmo NBA Basketball versus Basketball Classics. Um, so I played So we're going to take a look at both. Now, even though I aired the two episodes back to back of those two, and this one being next, it's been a while since I played both. So a little bit fresher perspective, somewhat fresh perspective. So I'm going to judge them. I'm going to judge. So after I play, I'm going to play this in Basketball Classics back to back, and then at the end of those two, I'm going to give my overall thoughts. And I'm going to use criteria. Now, the criteria I use for this, it may differ in upcoming videos depending on the upcoming versus reviews based on the games I'm covering and if I decide to polish things, be a little bit more specific or more general in certain things. But for today, we're going to judge on, one would be gameplay, like gameplay. The second will be presentation, which includes graphics, music, sound, and whatnot. Let's see, gameplay, graphics, and options like the depth. Those those are really the big three as far I can think of. So we're gonna judge each one on three, and and I think we'll go by letter grades, and we'll see for sure. Now a lot of people might say that everyone will have their own thoughts, and I'll share my thoughts after I play those two. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna leave everything on default. We're not gonna change anything. This is how the developers developed it. So we're gonna do. I'm not gonna choose Detroit teams like I did last time for both games. So we're gonna do different things. Uh, let's do. Uh, ah, Jeez. We'll do the Supersonics. Normally, I should check the roster. Supersonics. I almost forgot about that. We'll do that for both games. We'll do Supersonics. Gary Payton, pretty solid. Ricky Pierce is good. Eddie Johnson's decent. Michael Gage is a little lower. He's definitely high. He can shoot like crazy. Let's look at this guy. Reasonably decent. Decent. Tony Brown. Meh. I know there's a lot of similarities here with a lot of these. He's lesser. Still about there, same. Yeah. Alright, so we're gonna do Supersonics and we're gonna go against Philly. He's good, for sure. He's decent too. He's good. Decent. And he's okay. Charles Barkley, there we go. Yeah, I think I looked at him. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's about the same numbers as the other guy. A little lower on him. About the same. And I'm noticing a lot of variance with the ratings in this game. They all seem to be roughly the same, give or take. There we go. There's a little difference. Alright, so Seattle and Philly. Alright, here we go. Okay, so unfortunately I still play with a Super Nintendo controller for this retro trio, so there we go. The key really is just to pass in this game. You can't really drive it down. There we go. Yeah. Defense is a bit tricky. I feel a little bit more familiar since I last played it, but I still feel like it's not the most explainable. Even with like a manual or something, I feel like it still take time to get the hang of. Yeah, this one does have fouls. And they can be annoying because most of the people here, they're used to just driving down the lane. In this game, you can't really do that. You have to pass for sure. You gotta be afraid to shoot it in the mid range because you're not gonna get a lot of close ones really, especially against the computer. Because ah, I meant to pass. Oh, come on. Oh fuck. Jeez. That can be a little annoying. Ah. Oh come on. You can make a shot. Bullshit. I call bullshit. There we go. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to. I know there's a button for switching players, but it's not the most intuitive thing, in my opinion. At least I haven't quite. I think I know what it is, but oh, come on. Computer AI. I mean, I'm asking them to do most of the work for me, but they could grab a rebound or shoot back every once in a while. Just feels like they're kind of just. I didn't mean to shoot. Damn. Looks like. Okay, good. Maybe quick pass and shoot's the way to go. Oh, come on. You were wide open. You could have made that. Ah, come on. I saw a guy wide open too, but he didn't pass it to him. There we go. Oh, traveling? Fuck you. Fuck you, you dirty motherfucker. How much did they pay you? It's weird, because in Tecmo Super Bowl, the computer AI in preseason is incredibly easy. But here, it just doesn't feel that way at all. Right, so I feel like, I think I figured out which button to switch player. Oh, that shot. That was too soon. Oh, really? Halftime. I like the music. I will say this, the music's great. Man, I don't know. I'm taking about the same amount of field goals, I'm just not hitting them. I don't know why. I attempted probably a few more 3-pointers than I probably should have, in all honesty. Should probably try to get a closer shot. Man. I will say free throws are incredibly easy, which I like. That should be the easiest part of the game, in my opinion. I do agree with some of the retro sports gamer and them that they do make a lot of games, especially like the newer basketball games, make free throws way too hard, and they shouldn't have to be. There's the game already can be tricky enough. Too far out. God, what's with this goddamn traveling? Do I do it too far away from the basket? they're just not missing anything. They're just driving right through. Nice. Oh, come on. Shit. There we go. I'm starting to get the hang of the offense part. Driving down the lane, it's just stopping them is the tricky part. Oh, come on. What was that? Alright. I'm starting to get the hang of defense. Nice. Alright. Ah. There we go. Ah, he got too close. It does feel nice making a shot in this game, I will say that. Ah, shit. I lost control. Yeah. What's that backward? Did I get pushed back? Oh my god. Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh, wow, that was lucky. saying completely get rid of fouls, because then you have to get rid of free throw shooting, but maybe don't call certain ones, like maybe like foul while shooting, I think will be fine for offense. For defense, definitely not charging, but maybe like over and back I could live with. Oh, that was a tease. So let's figure out what we have. Alright, considering how it started, it's not too bad. Oh man, too many threes. I actually had a few blocks, but it had too many turnovers. Johnson and Gage led with points. Kemp, Pierce, Peyton behind them. Yeah, these guys played a good game. Okay, so that's the Tecmo NBA basketball portion of this versus video. We're going to do a jump cut, and next we're going to take a look at Basketball Classics. So just hold on a sec here. Alright guys, now we're at the Basketball Classics portion of our game here. So we're going to just do a quick play. So let's see. I played against Seattle last time, so I think I will again this time. But let's go back in the day here. 95. We'll do 95. Seattle. We'll go against... Let's go against 2008 Philadelphia. Just for a little parallel of Seattle and Philly. Oh, those were good settings. Oops, no. Yeah, we... Little practice. Oh, and before I forget, last time I played this, it was version 1.1 or 1.01. This version is 1.2 or 1.02, so there are some changes to this compared to when I last reviewed it. Shoot. One, there's pump fakes. Two, there's additional cutscenes between quarters. And the computer AI is lesser, especially in story mode. It's a little bit more friendlier, or more customizable. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. Got it. Come on. Ah, shit. Oh, the center made a 3. No, he didn't make it. My God. Aired it. That's actually very handy to have those. There was a few tips before, but they changed it up and added a lot more to it. Oh my God, it's now there are tributes to this game, so if you wanted to, you could make a tier list. It might be a bit tricky because all the teams they're using were playoff teams throughout time. So throughout various seasons. So they're all inherently good teams. However, there's some that are definitely better than others. Like the number 1 seeds are going to be better than the number 7 seeds or whatever. Probably could have passed someone closer to get it, but oh well. Halftime. Jeez, I barely had to press a button. He was gliding. I will say, even though it says Pro Mode, it is not hard. Definitely for beginners. I mean, I've played this probably a bit more than Tecmo NBA Basketball, but it's been a while since I played this one as well. Oh shit, they got me. Yeah. And also with the update were various tweaks as well. Yeah. Ah, he blocked me. Damn it. That's my center calling play. Yeah. Oh well. Well, that went better than the other in Tecmo basketball. Alright. That was an 11-minute game. Alright, so let's talk about each game. First, let's talk about gameplay first. So the thing with Tecmo NBA basketball, I use a retro trio to play that game, to play it through the NES slot, and unfortunately, the controllers that came with it were Super Nintendo design, which means that I have to play it through a Super Nintendo controller. Now, it's not the hardest thing in the world because once you figure out the buttons, it's okay. But I think the biggest issue with the game is that it tries too hard to be sim driven, if that makes any sense. Um, and and I don't mind that they had fouls in the game because fouls are kind of a bigger part of basketball than something like football. Um, I think the game would flow better with a few less fouls. I don't think they should have got rid of them all. But it does the intense fouling hurt the gameplay a little bit? It does kinda. Offensively, I kind of like offense. You pass around a lot, look for the shot. Free throw shooting's cool. Um, I think the biggest issue, the fouling, is playing defense is tricky. I mean, I'm sure once you figure stuff out, you could probably get it, but learning curve for it's kind of tricky, at least for me. I mean, and the way they decide to icon players and stuff with everything, it certainly is. It's good, but for some reason it feels jumbled to me, and maybe I'm not quite used to it. But compared to this, I would say gameplay. I would put it at B minus to a B because offense is actually not that hard. If you because on offense the key is to pass. You just have to pass quite a bit and then just go for the shot. And you usually make them. And I like shooting in that game a lot. There's a satisfyingness to it. Um, but yeah, I think I'll go with B on gameplay. Mostly because the thing that hurts the most is the fouling part and the struggles with in in kind of some rough struggles with defense. It's not like it's not learnable. It certainly is. Just it takes a bit to get there. So probably that B for that. For this game, the gameplay in this game is virtually flawless. Um, it's fast, it's speedy. I'm glad there's no fouls in it, although I wouldn't lie, I wouldn't mind a free throw shooting to some degree, but that might slow the game down. I mean, that was an only 11-minute game, and I know for a lot of people that's what they're looking for. So I don't know, maybe offer as an option, have free throw shooting on or off, you know, something like that. It's possible, but it's not really necessary. Um, oh man, there's not really any flaws. Both sides of the ball are easy to play. They flow. It's simple. I would give it. I would give it. I would give it. Yeah, I think I gave it like A. In all honesty, I would give it a higher letter grade just because I had no issue learning how to play at all. I even use my PS4 controller. I just plug in with the USB and it works perfectly. Of course, I'm playing this through a Mac, so it has that capabilities. But you can do that with lots of different controllers. So So that's pretty cool too. And yeah, it's a pretty cool way to do that. So I think this game does have better gameplay. Now, granted, Tecmo NBA Basketball does have a playbook option. You can use playbooks, but I've never seen anybody use them really in videos I've seen, and I've never really used them. They're kind of, it's kind of hard to want to use playbooks in that game when you're just kind of where the where they don't really add much as far as I know. But I say it's still a B, even though the playbook thing is kind of cool to see. But this one has playbooks too, and they work better, a lot better. So this is definitely an A. If there was anything they could improve on, not a lot, in all honesty. I can't really think of anything. I mean, I'm sure somebody might think, oh, maybe this will be cool or something, but this is pretty flawless gameplay wise. I can't think of anything really wrong with it. Um, Next would be presentation, which is the looks of everything. Um, So both are very great in the presentation department. Both have great music. The music in both is great. Um, Graphics, both have very solid graphics. Although, although the problem with the NES version is there's too much flickering, in my opinion. Um, I kind of would liked a bit more stability there. I mean, the technology, it is what it is for the time, but I kind of would have liked some kind of stability there. Because it does make defense a little harder to play because it feels more messy. While in this game, it doesn't feel as hard to do. And this one, the graphics are crisp, clean, they're retro, but they look great. There's nothing really to say, really. That's, I mean, it's what you expect. And for for the times they were made, these games were made, both have great graphics and great presentation. I mean, this one has the cool retroness and the color scheme and all that. And Tecmo and Bay Basketball has the same thing too. And you know what? I'm not gonna call it a tie. I think presentation wise. However, there's one thing that this has the advantage over the other is in-game stuff like the halftime show and end credit show. It has that, and Tecmo NBA Basketball doesn't, which is kind of disappointing because they had kind of those things in Tecmo Super Bowl. So for for Tecmo NBA Basketball for presentation, I would give it an A minus. And this one I'd give it an A. And now for the last one, in depth. Like, how in depth are these games? Do they have depth? Well, this is another close one. Um, because this game has quite a bit of depth. Because because the cool part about this game, because it has a story mode, which I have played it up to the Phantom 5, and I got my ass handed to me numerous times, and I just had to take a break. And now that they said they lowered the difficulty or gave options for lower difficulty for that, so I might try that again at some point. We have options of difficulty. You have great team options. You have teams from different years, the playoff team, which I'm a fan of, because in all honesty, while we all say we want all the teams, let's face it, most of us are going to only play as the good teams. Most of us, the only reason we play as scrub teams, either if we want to make fun of them or if we want to do a long-term rebuild, which this isn't that kind of game for it. So I'm glad they stuck with the playoff teams and all that. However, the one thing that Tecmo NBA Basketball has is that it has the NBA license, it has real NBA players. It even has players that haven't been in at basketball games after that game, like Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley. I mean, that's a pretty big freaking deal.
And the game also has like substitution. You can playbooks I mentioned before. The playbooks are customizable in this version. This one you have default 3, which is actually not. They're basic basketball plays that every team would use, in all honesty. So that doesn't really. So I don't mind that they kept it simple. Although it would be kind of cool to see maybe a fourth play option that's unique for every team. That's a signature for every team, but to do the amount of research for something like that for all these teams would be a little bit. It would be quite a bit hard work. But that's that's really the only thing, and that's extra credit. Um, there's also outside of the story mode, there's a season mode where you can play as a season with one of the playoff teams, which is pretty cool. I haven't played that yet, but I think that would be pretty cool. And then there's quick play. And in NBA Tecmo NBA basketball, you have exhibition. You have various options for exhibition. Um, you have you have um you have the team data. You can search through the team data. The team data in that one, it does have overalls and does have more players, but this one has overalls too, but only 5 players. However, the attributes I feel like in this one feel more solid. I feel like in Tecmo NBA basketball, I feel like a lot of players share almost the same overalls, and I don't feel like the the how would you call it, the progression system, like excellent, good, bad. I don't think that is implemented as well as that one, as like in Tecmo Super Bowl. This one they don't have that, but you don't really need it in all honesty because there's no subs. So what's the point of having those kind of things? But they do have overalls and attributes, so that's pretty cool to see. So each team isn't just the same team; they all have their own idiosyncrasies, their strengths and weaknesses. Um, so that's great on the depth part. Um, and and I will say in that Tecmo NBA basketball, they do give you option for speed of the game. I don't know if let's. It doesn't look like you do. So so you can't change this. I don't think you can change the speed of the gameplay. Although they might have implemented that in the difficulty level. So I can't say for sure on that. I mean, speed change, this isn't really necessary. I think the default speed's fine. In Tecmo NBA basketball, a lot of people I know put it on fast instead of medium because it feels more accurate. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Uh, and uh, and there's a season mode in Tecmo NBA basketball, and it is very in depth. You have an 82 game season. You can do a lot of. There's a lot of things that can go into that. And while this season mode, while I haven't played it myself, I don't know how in depth it is, but based on a video I saw that kind of kickstarted one and was going through it, it seems to be about the same depth wise. Although I don't know if it is the same amount of depth as Tecmo NBA basketball, because that and Tecmo Super Bowl, even though they did one season, it had a lot of depth in that season for the time. So this is pretty close. Um, it is very the depth part. It's tricky, but I think if I have to pick, well, the license thing in that one's great, and it's also based on in the year they did it, 91-92 NBA season is a one of is classic NBA basketball. And you have these great rosters, all these Hall of Fame worthy players. But this one, even though it doesn't have the licenses, it does have those players. It has the likeness. You know who they are. It makes you want to dig to figure them out. Could this version add more? I guess it could. It could add a creative player, or create a team. It could add player editing, team editing. It could introduce like a multi-season mode, kinda. I guess you could have a custom league, or you could have a tournament mode where you can mix teams in one tournament. I mean, I'm sure there's other things you could add to it, but those are just things. I mean, it's not if this was the only thing right now, this would be great as is. I think so. Overall, this is the toughest because both in their time had a lot of depth, but I think I think in all honesty, I think what I think Tecmo NBA basketball with the depth. I think I'll give that one. I think I'll give that one an A minus again, and I think I'll give this one an A2. And I think the reason why I say that is because while Tecmo NBA basketball has a lot of great depth, the team rosters are great and they have the depth and everything. This, even though this doesn't have the licenses, this has the playoff teams or top 16 teams or whatever of various seasons, and this can seasons and as the best players, it has the depth in the right areas and they get the depth right. And Tecmo NBA basketball, they have the names, but the depth isn't always consistent. And this one, anytime they do have depth, which is often, it's enough. It's done well. So I think overall, I think Basketball Classics is the better game. And a lot of it is just taking a great solid game in its own right, taking NBA basketball, and taking a few fresh minds and saying, let's see what we can do to elevate this and make it our own while still paying tribute to it. And this game did that. And this game, it just gets so much right. And sure, is there stuff you could add? Sure. But the stuff you can add isn't to really improve the game. It's to just the game's already great. If they add more stuff, it's just because they could and they can. They could do it. And Tecmo NBA basketball, I think that one just has one too many quirks that don't quite work. And this game, at the end of the day, this game doesn't really have any weird quirks that kind of hinder it, really. It really doesn't. Tecmo NBA basketball does. So, overall grades, I think this game I'll give an A. And Tecmo NBA basketball, I give a B plus. Because with this, I graded both of them. I graded it A minus AA, and at Tecmo NBA basketball I did B and 2 A minuses. So I figured that probably go up to a B plus, and this one it's an A. So this is the 100th episode of Sports Game Review. So I'm glad everyone joined in on this. I'm glad for the support. Now, a lot of these episodes that were done, not all of them, but a good chunk of them were request videos. And I appreciate the requests. I appreciate you guys tuning in and seeing these. I don't know how many of these going forward we're going to do because I'm going to be focusing a lot of time on series reviews of games. So you might see more ambitious videos such as this. Maybe not as often as regular reviews, but you might see more of them in the future when the demand for it has come. I think if I was going to do another versus video, which would be much later on, I think it would probably be like NFL 2K5 versus Madden 05. But if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, leave them in the comments or our Discord channel, which there's a link in the About page section of our channel. So check that out, and feel free to chat with me and Mike in either of those formats. I only and yeah, um, but yeah, if you're gonna get only one or the two of them, I recommend Basketball Classics. But if you want to get both, feel free to get both. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Um, and yeah, once again, thanks again for 100 episodes, guys. Um, I look forward to doing more of these in the future. I look forward to slightly more ambitious videos, and covering just lots of different sports games. I don't know how many more unique ones there are left. Like I said, and that don't mean to regurgitate myself with me focusing more on series reviews. You're probably going to see more videos like this that are a bit more ambitious, a bit more constructed to be more ambitious in what to look at instead of just a semi-casual review of something. So keep that in mind. But yeah, once again, thanks for 100 episodes, guys, and yeah, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.